Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar, The Smart Way to Move Spot Market Freight with Loadsmart and Kuebix. Please know the session is being recorded and will be shared with all registrants following the webinar. We'll have time for a few questions at the end of the webinar, so please submit any questions you have in the question pane of your control panel. I'll be facilitating the Q&A from there. Today, I'm happy to introduce Loadsmart's strategic partner, Kuebix. Casey Monahan, Director of Small and Medium Enterprises at Loadsmart, and Keith Caruso, Operations Manager at Kuebix, will share information about spot market challenges and best practices, how and why we partner, and our unique solution, which will include a demo. With that said, I'll hand it over to Casey to begin.
Awesome. Thank you, Adrian. Before we launch right into the smart way to book spot freight, I want to give you guys a quick overview of Loadsmart and Kuebix. Loadsmart at its heart is a technology company that automates how full truckload and intermodal freight is priced, shipped, and tracked. We've been in business for a little over 6 years. We currently have 250 employees. We classify ourselves as a technology company, and I think it's important to call out that out of the 250 employees we have, 40% of them are either engineers or data scientists. Another 40% are all like frontline customer-facing people. We really believe in a tech and touch type of a scenario for all of our clients. Our clients run the full range, so we have really large enterprise shippers like Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Procter & Gamble, all the way down to smaller shippers that really only move one full truckload a quarter or so. I'm excited to be here with my partner Keith to talk a little bit about how Loadsmart and Kuebix together can help you to move more with less on the spot market. I'll turn it over to Keith to give just a quick bio on Kuebix.
Yeah, thanks, Casey. First of all, thank you for the entire Loadsmart team for putting this together. Appreciate it. But for those of you who don't know, quick background on Kuebix. Kuebix offers a modular, scalable, and intuitive TMS platform. It supports all modes of transportation. The platform does it streamlines the entire shipping process from comparing rates, creating VOLs, tracking, tracing, all the way to invoice auditing. So the TMS gives the shippers complete visibility and control of their shipping operation. Back in January of this year, 2020, Kuebix was acquired by Trimble, which has allowed us to rapidly grow our continually growing carrier community as well.
Awesome, thanks, Keith. So like I said, we're here to talk about the spot market. We obviously live in an ever increasingly digitized world where everything is, big data, automation, AI, that type of thing. But unfortunately, full truckload, especially in the spot market, is lagging behind and is still really a largely analog business in this digital world, right? It's super time consuming. There's a lot of like old school emails being passed back and forth, a lot of phone calls, a lot of hurry up and wait is typically happening. There's a lack of automation, and there's really unpredictable performance in the spot market when you're going outside of your kind of trusted carrier network. I want to give kudos to my marketing team here for finding the most depressing stock photos possible. But the first thing I want to talk about is time-consuming rate discovery. Certainly, finding a spot quote for even one particular lane that's been a challenge. But if you have to scale that up and you're doing hundreds of shipments, it takes a significant amount of time and resources where each lane can take hours at a time. I think that we've probably all experienced this guy's look right here where he's removed his glasses, is holding his head. I envision he just got an email back for a lane that he usually moves for $1,000 and got a quote for $1,200 on the spot market. And he's doing one of these like, what do I do with this? This guy looks even angrier. Poor visibility and communication would be next up. Visibility into shipment status is opaque at best. I think we all have played that phone tag game, with this. I envision this guy is literally asking, where is the truck right now? Not where was it a little while ago, not where are we planning it to be in the future, but where is the truck right now? And that's a common thing I hear from shippers when they're frustrated. This one, so choosing a carrier in the spot market can feel like the Wild West because of lack of reliability. This is one of those scenarios where, you know, you reach out to the spot market, an hour goes by, you get back, you know, a couple different quotes. None of them are exactly where you wanted them to be, but then there's one that's a little bit cheaper than everyone else. And you're like, do I go with the savings? But I've never talked to this carrier. It's a, you know, owner operated thing. And I don't know if they have tracking. I don't know if the service will be there. And really just overall lack of reliability and trust. So I preparing for this webinar, I reached out to my team and asked, you know, what are really the best practices for, you know, spot market freight? Then I went out and asked a couple customers, and then I went to Google and I did some queries, and this is kind of what we came up with. So you have to get multiple quotes. You have to make sure you're negotiating really great accessorials. You want to automate the reporting, keep your planners accountable. You definitely want to get multiple quotes on each shipment, process and understand the data behind the service levels, you know, by managing a scorecard. You want to make sure you're working with the best facilities, that your load times are good, that you're optimizing appointments. And really, there's just a million different things to do. I could have made 3 slides full of word clouds on, you know, how to best do this. But the truth is, you kind of need an army or a team of experts working for you that do this. And unfortunately, some of our smaller shippers don't really have the time or resources to build that team, right? So it can become a challenge. Where do you focus your time? On the logistics piece of your business or on the core piece of your business? What a lot of our customers choose to do is to take as much of their freight as they can outside of the spot market by moving it into contracted rates. This is certainly a good practice, and it is a big piece of Loadsmart's business is contracted freight, but it is a little bit like gambling. You know, certainly you will end up booking contracted freight for lanes that you run a lot, but at times, and often lengthy times, the spot market freight would actually be more economical for you throughout the year. So, you know, you kind of are hedging your bets by doing contracts, but one of the advantages of having access to Loadsmart's instant pricing is that you can benchmark any of the contract rates that you have, and, you know, make sure that you're optimizing the pricing across the year. We talked a little bit about how analog the whole spot market is, but the truth is it's very quickly catching up this digital space, right? There's artificial intelligence, big data, and a lot of automation running. And the savviest shippers are really taking advantage of those emerging technologies and getting out ahead of their competition that is lagging a little bit. That is where Kuebix and Loadsmart come into play. The integration of Loadsmart's digital freight platform along with Kuebix's community load match allows our customers to access Loadsmart's truckload rates and capacity directly inside the Kuebix TMS so that you never have to leave your native platform. Before jumping into this slide, I want to just talk real quick about kind of the depth of our relationship with Kuebix. We are announcing this today on the webinar, but the truth is we've been partnered together for the past 2 years. So it's not a new relationship, it's just a new piece of functionality on the Kuebix platform. The depth and breadth of our relationship is really strong at the leadership level, at the sales level, at the engineering level. Our teams have worked together to solve technology problems for the past 2 years. And then on the service side, our service teams work really closely together as well. We've really made it seamless for all of the customers of both platforms to work with us. I'm going to turn it over to Keith to talk a little bit about how Kuebix envisions our partnership.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Casey. Thank you. So as Casey hit the nail on the head there with the partnership here from all levels, it really is a good synergy. But for Kuebix side of things, the single platform to meet all the shipping needs, as I touched on previously, you know, the platform supports all modes, you know, LTL, truckload, ocean, air, small parcel, you name it, and it's supported on the platform. Kuebix is all access Loadsmart API. What that means is you get instant access to the rates, Loadsmart's rates with guaranteed capacity. meaning you don't need to wait for a rate response. You can log in and book instantly. Every Kuebix shipper is set up to receive Loadsmart rates. So as soon as you get a Kuebix login and you sign up with us, you automatically are signed up to receive Loadsmart's rates. There's no further integration that would be required. All the work's already set up. Easily rate, book, and manage truckload shipments. So Loadmatch platform, what it does allows you to submit spot quotes to specific carriers that are filtered based on the footprint of the shipment, so that origin, destination, as well as the mode. So what it does is it eliminates any white noise for carriers that might not service that specific area or region or support that mode of transport. And then additionally, the platform also supports any published or contracted rates for any carriers you might have. You can upload those into the system to populate for you as well.
Really cool. Thanks, Keith. As far as spot freight goes inside the Kuebix platform, what Loadsmart will deliver right into the TMS is full visibility across the entire load journey. Using our app, using ELD and geofencing, we know where the trucks are and can provide that data in near real time. You get 100% guarantee that Loadsmart will fulfill the load. So if you get a rate from us, we are going to back it with 100% tender acceptance and guaranteed capacity. You get real-time pricing, tracking, and sourcing, which can be good for benchmarking as well as predicting what freight rates will be like, weeks in advance as you're planning your market and strategy. And we're always going to be driving savings by allowing you to benchmark those rates. There are basically three key differentiators that I wanted to cover on this particular call. One is how our partnership can help you to accelerate rate discovery. The second is eliminating surprises by tracking freight in near real time. And the third is really optimizing which carriers are picking up and moving your loads. First up comes accelerating rate discovery. Let's just talk really quick about how this historically works in this kind of analog space. Your planners will, have a piece of freight they need picked up. They'll reach out to either their network of carriers or to a couple different brokers and ask for rates. That broker will then call a couple different carriers on their side, get rates back to them. Time will elapse. Basically, they're then going to send the rates over to you, whether it's email, phone, or even fax sometimes, or sometimes it could be delivered in a TMS, whatever the situation is. But then you get back the rates and you have to make this decision like, okay, do I go with this particular carrier with this particular rate? It's a little more than it was the last time. And if you want to go back and renegotiate, you then have to call back that carrier, say, can you cut me a break, $100 off? That carrier then, that broker then calls their carrier, tries to renegotiate. That carrier then talks to their boss and then gets back to the broker. Then the broker has to reconfigure what margin they want to charge you so that they're making money, and then they get back to you. And that whole kind of cycle of decision making starts over again. It's a very long and tedious process. At Loadsmart, we believe that should work much more efficiently, should be much easier. So we set out and built a platform that works exactly like booking, an airline ticket. We did this 6 years ago, so we have a lot of experience having built it and used it in the marketplace. But essentially, you're going to be putting in your pickup destination, your delivery location, the date that you want your freight moved, and the commodity, and we're going to return an instant rate to you that is, not just a benchmark or anything like that. It's bookable. There's 100% tender acceptance on it and guaranteed capacity behind that specific price.
If I could just jump in there real quick, and part of why the sort of partnership works so well is that's been a longstanding philosophy of Kuebix as well. The ability to quickly aggregate and sort of effectively display carrier rates all in one screen. So with the partnership here with Loadsmart with the direct API, it sort of allows us to take that vision a step further with the instant rates.
Thanks, Keith, for that. When Loadsmart first built this, like I said, a little over 6 years ago, the marketplace was really skeptical. They didn't think that we'd be able to price accurately or, actually guarantee that we would move the freight. Thought we'd take a lot of losses and really struggle. But over time, our algorithm is really buttoned up. We have, like I said, a large contingency of engineers and data scientists building this stuff for us. And we've had a lot of experience with 6 years. So right now, our algorithm actually reaches out to over 500 data sources. A lot of it is historical information like the DAT or sonar. And then some of it is our own data that we've been collecting over 6 years on particular lane performance and things like that. Then we can add in real-time data at the same time, like traffic patterns or holidays that are coming up, or produce season, or even things like the weather are put into it. So you put in your shipment requirements, and in under 2 seconds, you get delivered a rate that we're going to honor. If it so happens that we can't source it at a profit, we will take the loss and move the load anyway and service our customer. That's how we've been operating for 6 years, and that's how we're going to continue to operate moving forward. What this partnership does is takes that, competitive pricing, strong service performance, and guaranteed tender acceptance, and inserts it right into the Kuebix TMS so that you can continue your current workflow. Like Keith said, they support all different modes of transportation and logistics in their platform, and this brings the ability to not only get, a spot quote like you have historically been able to do in Kuebix, but to get an instant spot quote that has 100% capacity behind it. Second thing I want to talk about is eliminating surprises by tracking freight in near real time. This is a really important thing to keep in mind, is that, logistics, we all know that things go wrong, and the old adage that knowledge is power is really true here, in that you want to be able to track the visibility of where things are going, what is happening. Is the truck going to be on time? Is it going to be a little late? Or even better, is it going to be early and we could optimize our actual scheduling process, that type of thing. But historically, the service issues are communicated only after they occur, right? Location updates are not really provided in real time, and none of that data is typically put into a TMS unless it's manually inputted, which is usually after the fact. At Loadsmart, we have several different ways that we track our shipments. Like some of our competition, we do have an app, but unlike some of our competition, we don't require the use or really push it hard. It's more for people that want the additional support there. We have partnerships with all of the leading ELD providers. And then anytime you move a load with Loadsmart, you have a dedicated operations person that is in charge of that load at the customer and load level. So it's someone you'd be, talking to whenever you want to handle any exceptions. But basically, Loadsmart is going to track the location of the truck in near real time. We have geofencing set up so that we can give you, shipment updates on when the load is about to be picked up, when it's been loaded, and when it leaves the facility. Where it's at during the whole transit process, and then when it's arriving for delivery and when everything is checked out, done, and the shipment is over. We take all of that information, like I said, pretty quickly in near real time and deliver it right into the Kuebix TMS via API. Through those partnerships that I just talked about, we are getting tracking updates every 15 seconds. Through the different various methods. And then, like I said, any exceptions or requests you have outside of that, or any changes that you need to make, can be communicated right through with your, load operations person for kind of abnormal requests. The third piece that I wanted to discuss is really finding the best carrier. And I kind of mean this on two different sides of the equation. First, move on to the next one, Adrian. Yeah, there's 4 million trucks out there basically in the U.S. So there's no carrier sales team that is contacting them all, and there's no carrier sales team that is really optimizing which trucks to call without some automation. And that is a piece that Loadsmart is well ahead on. We know where empty trucks are. We know what the performance on the specific lanes are. We know whether it's a backhaul or someone picking up something and moving. We know whether it's a desirable location or a desirable carrier, what the service levels are, that sort of thing. Move on to the next one here. But the kind of two pieces I wanted to talk about was that first is knowing the optimum places and prices to source freight at using our algorithm. Like I said, we know where the empty trucks are. what they're doing, what kind of freight they like to move, whether they've had good experience in that particular lane with us in the past, that sort of data, because that helps us to keep the costs down as we're sourcing trucks, and we really move that cost savings onto our customers. The second part, though, is more the trusted carrier network piece, right? So we're tracking their inspection data, the level of insurance they have, the feedback we get from truck stops and ELD providers. We even track their MC number and whether or not they're changing it. And if that kind of thing happens, we bounce them right out of our network, or if their performance isn't up to the very strong standards of some of our enterprise level shippers, then we bounce them out of our network as well. So kind of you get the best of both worlds. You know you're going to work with a carrier that Loadsmart has already vetted across multiple different, parameters, and then simultaneously you know that we are going to actively source the most cost-effective carrier we can with strong performance on that particular lane. Just one quick example, because this partnership, like I said, has been live for a while. We recently worked with a small brewery. Loadsmart actually contacted this particular client several times, not knowing that they were a Kuebix customer. And, they had kind of brushed us off a little bit, saying that they were happy with their carrier network, that they, didn't need any additional capacity, that kind of thing. But as this current market has really tightened up right before July 4th, this particular brewery had a lot of primary tenders get rejected right before the holiday. And as you can imagine, it's really important for a brewery to get their product out before the 4th of July. They re-engaged us and asked a little bit about how they could get set up, how quickly we could help them source capacity in this tight market, whether or not it would be cost effective. Like Keith said at the beginning of the call, if you are a Kuebix customer, you're already set up, right? So from the first conversation to fully up and running with a full credit line and everything to actually freight with Loadsmart was under 24 hours. And the first truck for their fallen off tenders was actually sourced and picked up the freight within 36 hours of our conversation. They actually had to move several pieces of freight that had dropped off. The experience went really well for them, and they had another planner log into our site through Kuebix and run a couple spot quotes, and they were actually able to book additional capacity for future loads in under 3 minutes. Since that time, our performance levels have been really good, and the service that they've experienced from both sides of the equation have been really strong, that they've already invited us to their RFP and are moving a significant amount of spot freight. They consider the community load match and Loadsmart to be their primary go-to solution for spot market, even though we've only been working together for a month.
Yeah, just to add to that, it being a Kuebix customer, I was able to witness the back and forth firsthand, and the communication and attentiveness from the Loadsmart team just was above and beyond, sort of in that crunch when the customer was in a deep need. So it's well deserved and well done on their part.
I think at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Keith to give a quick overview of how easy it is to actually, request a quote via Loadsmart inside the Kuebix platform.
So for those of you who are not current Kuebix users, this is the homepage for when you log in with your username and password. For the demo, I'm just going to go through our Ship It portal. This is just the shipment creation screen where you'll actually plug in all the shipment details that'll be generated on the VOL. So I'm going to switch to truckload, and everything you see here, these are all addresses and everything. These can be stored and customized based on your settings. So I'll plug in a test company for now. The handling units, again, these can all be tweaked to whatever need be for your specific setup. From here, I have all the information plugged in. I'm going to go ahead and hit submit spot. So at this point, the shipment is actually going to generate what we call a KBX number, our BOL number. So at any point from here on, if you accidentally X out or what have you, that shipment information that you just plugged in is going to be stored. So what's loading now is our Find a Truck page. This is where you can actually select the carriers to whom you want to send this specific rate quote to. And as I mentioned previously, these will be filtered to carriers who have expressed interest in the specific lane and mode that you have entered in. So we'll go ahead and deselect all the carriers currently, and I'm just going to search by name for Loadsmart. Pull them up here. So you do have the ability to search for your carrier agreements, the community carriers by mode. But for this specific exercise, I'm just going to click Loadsmart and then click Request Rates. So now this is going to actually run the API and ping off of Loadsmart and get that generated rate. So there's our KBX number I was talking about. Now I can click either create a new shipment, or I'll click view rates. This is going to bring us to the manage shipments grid. This is where you'll be able to review all of the loads you have posted. So hypothetically, if we had selected multiple carriers, I could come in and see the aggregated responses. So this is that last shipment we just plugged in, KBX number. I could drop this down and look at all the details. And when I go to rates, it's going to have that Loadsmart API rate automatically generated right there, so 1467.50. Again, if I had selected multiple carriers, they'd all be listed here, and the line haul would still be 0 until they actually entered in a rate quote. But with the Loadsmart API, obviously we're able to auto-generate that. Now from here, in order to actually schedule a shipment, all I have to do is come to this little book button. I can click it, and you'll receive a pop-up that says your load has been successfully booked, rate was successfully booked. And that's all it takes in order to schedule shipment with Loadsmart, on the Kuebix platform. With that, I will go ahead and pass it to Casey.
All right, cool. So we talked a lot about AI, automation, big data, all those types of things. And I know I touched a little bit about the importance of tech and touch for both Kuebix and Loadsmart. And this slide, I think you can actually see it in the background, originally had, some stock photography in there. But I thought it better to just show kind of that depth of relationship that we have. So on the left is Jim Dunleavy of Kuebix, and on the right is Ethan Feldman. If you're a customer of either of our companies, you've probably talked to these two. But I wanted to put them on because over the last few months, they've enjoyed sharing a lot of joint customers, and they spend a lot of time on the phone together solving issues for customers that are outside the normal scope of, just moving some spot freight. Whether they're working on contracts together or RFPs or helping a customer to optimize their overall logistics network. We've really become fast friends in that side of things. I think we're a little bit over, Adrian, so I talked fast to turn it over to you.
Great, thank you, Keith and Casey. So let's jump right into these questions. First, what is the cost to integrating Loadsmart rates into Kuebix?
Okay, so Loadsmart doesn't charge anything. So there's no fee for like an integration or a setup or a custom solution or, a conversation or anything like that. There's no development or engineering time that we need to put in. Like Keith had mentioned, we already have it linked up. So you really only pay Loadsmart to move the freight that you book, right? I'll turn it over to Keith to talk a little bit about
Yeah, so the cost on the Kuebix side of things, well, there's no cost to actually use the Kuebix Community Load Match program. You can sign up as a free shipper directly on our website, and that would immediately give you, as you mentioned, access to Loadsmart's API rates. If a shipper was interested in potentially upgrading from that free service to any of our premier applications, then they can certainly contact our team and put together a package.
Cool. Great. Next question. Let's see here. So I'm in the market for a TMS. Why should I choose Kuebix?
Right. I guess on that one, I'll defer straight to Keith.
Yeah, I think that one's for me. So shippers that are basically looking to, find the best carrier rates, manage any growing logistical operation, potentially discover any new efficiencies in their supply chain. Basically, if you're looking to take control of your and optimize any of your supply chain, Kuebix has a solution for you. On top of that, with the community load match program, again, you get free access to that as soon as you sign up with Kuebix. So you would get access to our, rapidly growing carrier base. That's, directly from our Trimble acquisition to our partnerships with digital freight matching services such as Loadsmart, any brokers we have available, all under one single platform.
Awesome.
Great. Okay. And next question is, how long does it take to set up, and how do we set this up?
We already covered that a little bit with the case study, right? So like if you're existing Kuebix customer, it's already set up, right? If you want to move, a substantial amount of freight and need to set up a credit line through Loadsmart, we can set that up in under 24 hours for most customers. It's pretty turnkey, and then you can start shipping directly. I'm going to defer to Keith on how long it takes to actually establish a starting, Kuebix account if you're not an existing Kuebix customer.
Yeah, sure. As I just mentioned, you can sign up as a free shipper directly on our website. Top right corner, it says I think free TMS and big red button. You click that, and it'll give you a link to get signed up, get you log in minutes, and again, there's no integration or anything to receive these Loadsmart API rates. As soon as you get that login, you'll have access to everything.
Awesome.
Great. And with that, I'd like to thank you all for joining. I hope you found the webinar valuable and were able to learn something. If we did not get to your question today, I assure you we'll reach out. I've also included Casey and Keith's contact information here, so you are welcome to reach out to them directly as well.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thanks to
Appreciate it.
we certainly are hoping that we can help all of you move more with less. Thank you.